Okay, so as promised, here come some of these angle problems. So we need to find the value of x. So x is an angle formed inside the circle by two chords. So that means we're going to add the two arcs and take half of them. So x is pointing at 90. Its vertical angle points at 46. So to find x, you're going to take half of 90 plus 46. Type all that into your calculator once. Half of 136 should be 78. Half of 136 is 68. I'm sorry, 68. That mistake. And there we go. There's the value of x. Okay. All right, next one. Okay, so now we have an angle formed outside by a tangent and a secant. Now, in this problem, they give you the angle. You're missing this arc here, okay, z. Well, we still use the formula. Remember, if you're looking for an angle outside, or an angle formed outside, then it's 1/2 the difference. So the angle, which is 20 degrees, is going to be half the difference between the further arc, 95, minus the closer arc, z. Okay, so what I would do here is I would multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of that 1/2. When you multiply by 2, it gets rid of that 1/2. Instead of distributing the 1/2, that just makes it messy. So 40 equals 95 minus z. We're going to subtract 95 from both sides. Negative 55 equals negative z, and divide by -1. 55 equals z. And there's that arc, 55 degrees. Remember, you should check your answers, right? Up here, check your answers before you submit. And again, you can always check this by taking, what's 1/2 of 95 minus 55? That's 20. So you can always plug the arc back in and see if the angle checks out. Okay, cool. All right, next. Okay, a little word problem here. This is a satellite is a geostationary in a geostationary orbit above Earth's equator, has a viewing angle of Earth formed by two tangents to the equator. So here's your two tangents, right? The viewing angle is about 17.5 degrees, which they have here. What is the measure of the arc of Earth that is viewed from the satellite? So if this is the satellite, they can see this arc right there. That's our question, right? Well, remember, with two tangents, the two tangents meet at these point of tangencies, or the two tangents touch the circle at the point of tangency and break the circle into two arcs. This is our x. So what is this arc going to be? That's going to be 360 minus x, right? Because together, those two arcs make 360. And now this is an angle outside of the circle. So the angle is going to be half the difference between these two arcs. 360 minus x, which is the bigger arc, minus x, which is the smaller one. Okay? So in here, this becomes minus 2x. I'm going to simplify that, but I am going to multiply both sides by 2. Again, I just like to do that to get rid of that 1/2. So 2 times 17.5 is 35. So 35 equals 360 minus 2x. Again, just combine the two x's. We're going to subtract 360 from both sides. That's going to be negative 325 is equal to negative 2x, and divide by -2. And when we take negative 325 divided by -2, we get an x value of 162.5. And that would be the measure of the arc that you can see, 162.5 degrees. Okie doke. Next one here. Okay, so now we're getting into our segments. These are the harder segment problems. So notice here we have to find two variables, x and y. So notice that y is part of a tangent, right? So that's why it's on a tangent, and x is on a secant. So we should not try to find x and y at the same time. So let's use this secant down here, which has an outer part of 7 and a whole length of 22, 15 plus 7. Let's go and find x first. So x is also on a secant, like I said. So the outer part is 5. Be careful, right? It's pointing to the outer part. And the whole thing is x plus 5. So part times whole, 5 outer part times whole x plus 5 should equal outer part 7 times whole 22. So again, I'm using the two secants. All right, let's distribute the 5. 5x plus 25 equals, and 7 times 22 is 154. Let's subtract 25 from both sides. 5x equals, and 154 minus 25 is 129. And let's divide by 5. And x is 25.8. And there's x. Okay, so now let's kind of erase some things here, and let's work on finding y. So now y is the tangent. So I'm going to use the tangent and then the secant they gave us, right? So y is the tangent again. I'm going to use this secant down here. Outer part 7, whole part is 22. So I will do y squared, because you square the tangent, equals outer part 7 times whole thing 22. Y squared equals, that's going to be 154, and we'll take the square root, and y equals, and this says simplest radical form. I'm going to ignore that. I think I changed this to 10th, nearest 10th. Okay, so when we do that, square root of 154, 12.4 is what I get, and that'll be fine. 12.4. Okay, so again, just follow the directions, but this should say nearest 10th. Okay, last one coming up here. All right, so now we have some angle measures. So y is an angle measure, and z and x are side lengths. So we got a mixture of problems. So let's go ahead and find x first, right? Why not go in order? So x is on a chord. So x is part of a chord. The other chord is 9 and 6. Notice that it extends beyond the circle to be a secant. But if you cut it off right here, the 9 and 6 are parts of a chord. You can do the two chords with 10 and x and 9 and 6. 10x equals 54. Divide by 10, divide by 10. X is 5.4. Okay, now let's go after y. So y is an angle formed in the triangle. So it's going to be half the sum of the arc it points to, 85, and the arc its vertical angle points to, 45. So y is going to be half the sum of 85 and 45. That's half of 130, and half of 130 is 65. And that's in degrees, right? So y is an angle measure, 65 degrees, sorry. And now let's look at z. I'll use purple for z. So z is part of a tangent. Let's use the tangent, and then we have to use this secant. So the outer part of the secant is 6. The whole secant is 6 plus 9. That's 21. So to find the tangent z, we're going to do z squared equals outer part times whole part. Z squared equals, that's 126. Let's take the square root. And now I do want to simplify this radically because you can. The other one you couldn't. So 126, let's break it down. It's not a perfect square. 2 goes into it 63 times. 63 is 9 and 7. So 2 is a perfect square. 7 is a perfect square. And now 9 is 3 and 3. And now, I didn't mean perfect square, I meant prime. So 2 is prime, 7 is prime, and now 9 is 3 and 3. This is the prime factorization. So the square root of 126 is the square root of 2 times 3 times 3 times 7. These two 3's mean that for z, you can pull out a 3. They go away. The 2 and 7 only occur once, so go ahead and multiply them back. 3 square root of 14. Now, again, if it asks for 1 decimal, you would just do the square root of 126, and to 1 decimal, that would have been 11.2. So again, just follow the directions as they tell you. All right, so best of luck with this assignment, and we'll see you next time.